Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday night here in Redhook at the Function House. We're live from Redhook, and tonight our special guest DJ is DJ Gary Rabbitt.
DJ Rabbitt, what up, man?
How you doing? Thank you for having me. Thank
Welcome
you so much
to
for
the
having
show,
me.
man.
So you've been making some noise, bro. The production, right?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the studio lately. Definitely spent a lot of time in the studio.
So where are you from, and how did you get into this thing?
I'm from North Bergen, New Jersey. I've been playing the piano since I'm 5 years old, thanks to my mom's constant persistence. And my dad used to work for Panasonic, so techniques were always laying around my house. And as a kid, I just...
You mean just laying around the house?
Yeah, like, like we'd have an SL, like a 1200 laying around, or we'd have like a B series old school with like auto back and forth with the tone arm. It's really like old stuff, laying around the house.
That's
so
dope.
as a kid, I just naturally, wanted to
Wow.
scratch the record, which I used to get yelled at all the time.
So
I ruined my father's Rocky records, but
Your father was like an audio guy?
no, he just worked for Panasonic. I mean, he had an interest in, TVs and radios and stuff like that.
Yep.
But yeah, so he always had like cool sound systems or nice big screen TV in the house. Like it was real cool.
Got that employee discount.
Yeah, well, down off the back of the truck. But don't quote me on that. But yeah, so I picked up turntablism when I was at a young age, and at about, I'd say probably like 19, 20, they kind of like coexisted. It was like, oh, wait a minute, like I could write music and I could DJ. So that was like right at the EDM boom, the start of that.
Yeah.
So it kind of just went from there,
So going back to the piano lessons, is it something that you wanted to do, or did your mom really push you to
No,
do it?
I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I begged her so many times, like, no, I really don't want to go. But I always, like a good boy should, I went. I would take the lessons. I would practice. And, my dad always told me, like, oh, when you get of age and, you get the ladies and you bust out a couple tunes.
For real.
Like this, So, yeah, I definitely didn't like it. And I switched over to guitar at about 12 years old. And I did like self-taught guitar. My uncle's a guitarist, so he helped me out a little bit.
So do you play guitar by ear or you read music?
Yeah, I play tablatures. I can't read sheet music for guitars, but I can read sheet music for piano. It just takes a really long time.
So how much has piano helped you out in your production?
Oh, tremendously. When I first started producing, like because of the piano, I had a lot of classical influence, so my melodies and my chords were very like dramatic and all this, and I really didn't have a grip on how to put that into like the house music world. It wasn't. It didn't really make sense. It just didn't work out right. But with being with other artists and learning from what they do and taking it, like keep it simple, stupid. Take it back a step, and it's been a journey from, let's say 20 years old to 25 years old to like kind of hone in on what I wanted my sound to be and what felt good, what came easy. So, but the piano is definitely a tremendous help.
So you said you do read sheet music, but it's
you're
playing more by ear with the piano
Yeah,
as well,
like
too?
I mean, the piano is muscle memory. Like I know if I'm playing this chord, like my hand just knows to go here. It's just muscle memory. And if I want it to be attention, like I just know my body knows where to go. And if I miss the key, I'll know right away. Like, oh nope, that was wrong. I feel it right away. But it's just from really practicing. Like I tell everybody, like I always tell people, like just sit if you want to do it, sit in front of the piano and play. Like, oh, but I don't know how to play. Like, all right, well learn, just play.
Did you have a piano in your house, or you used to go elsewhere for lessons?
Yeah, I did. I always did.
Yeah.
I always had a real piano, and then
like a big
yeah, like
grand piano,
not a
or?
grand. It was like a stand up. Yeah, it was like an old school, like ding ding ding. Like
saloon one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But and then I had an electric keyboard from Techniques that my dad ended up picking up for me that I still have today. That's still in the studio. And
88 key.
yeah, it's full size. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So I remember you had a residency at Pasha.
Yeah. Well, God rest. But yeah, a while back, I was doing a residency at Pasha. I got to play with a lot of big names. I actually got my opportunity there from Rob Fernandez. We got booked in the basement, and
Were you like making records at the time? Is that why they booked you?
I was just starting on production, so I was part of a duo, and we had a good group of friends that were really pushing us and enjoyed coming out to our, to the parties. And it was little by little by little that we started making noise. And then we got the opportunity to play in the basement at Pasha. And we brought 2 school buses, yellow school buses with 55 people apiece into Pasha. And at that point, Rob Fernandez was, who is this guy? Like, who are these people in my basement? Like, we got to get them on the main floor. So the next time we came, and same thing, we just came strong every time, just always.
And that's it. And that's how the residency.
Yeah, and that's how it started,
This was on like a Friday or a Saturday night.
This was Friday nights. At the time, I was more of a EDM artist. I was younger, and I was not really into the proper house, but
You weren't educated yet.
right, exactly. It comes with experience.
Yep.
Of course.
But those Pasha days really helped me out because working under Rob and working under James Fowl, they taught me like, okay, well, you can't go crazy because that's just inappropriate. The headliner is going to come on at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and that's when it should get crazy. So, I learned to have a little more, what's the word I'm looking for, like variety in my
Right.
music, instead of just playing
The hits.
bangers, So I learned to appropriately open, and it just got better from there. They would just book us with a better act. I got the chance to open up for Martin Garrix on his Animals tour, and it was his first U.S. show, so that was really dope. I became good friends with Jay Hardway through that show, and played with a bunch of huge names. Hardwell at Pier 94, EDC, it goes on and on and on, all because we hustled, like from the beginning, on the street pushing flyers.
So what type of tracks were you opening up with for these EDM big artists? Like, how did you find it challenging to open up for them? And
Yeah, I mean, every artist is different. So
Did any of them like send you a set list?
no, never. I mean, it's kind of like the unwritten rule. You don't play the headliner's tracks. So although I've seen that happen,
So have I.
I've definitely seen that happen
really
before. I've seen
insane.
tweets about it too, like people getting real upset. I mean, I would be honored if somebody played my record. Like, great, but
That's a
but-
promoter issue of not putting the right person on to open up.
Yeah, I
It's-
mean,
I think an opening role for a headliner is very, very important. They have to have the right person on.
yeah, you're setting the tone for the evening. Like people come in, they're not ready to just go hard from the get. They want to go get their drink, they want to bounce around in 2 steps. So you have to supply that music. And I mean, I don't necessarily think it's like, oh, it has to be house, or even if it's a hip hop, oh, it has to be hip hop. Like, you can incorporate vocals of each, and like house music is derived from like Detroit and where they get down over there. Like.
Yeah.
So you have to set that vibe where everybody's just dancing, having a good time, but not going crazy.
Yeah, you got to get people sort of like bopping their heads,
Mhm.
like where they're feeling good. They're like, wow, this guy's playing
Yeah,
some
I'm gonna
good
get another drink,
music.
like
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's the importance of opening.
100%.
So you've been putting records out for a while. What are some of the past records you put out that made some noise for you, and what's some stuff you're working on now?
I had an EP come out last year on Beat Nasty Records, and it was a 5-track EP, and it got some good support from some guys like Federico Scavo. Sander Van Doren had included it, a couple of the records in his podcast. I think Thomas Gold was playing it, a couple other guys, but
Must have been pumped up.
yeah, actually, funny story, I had no idea that Sander was playing my record, and it was actually the same week I was in Amsterdam for ADE, and I ran into him at Smash FM. They do something similar. It's kind of like they do a live show, and it's a radio station, and yeah, like I spoke to him, just, hey, how's it going, just chatting it up, and like,
How do you approach him? Like, it's like Sander Van Doren. Like, you approach him, hey, like, you're playing one of my records?
well, I mean, at that point, I had no idea that he was playing my record. I found out that when I got home, and I was like, oh, damn, I should have said something to him. But like I know Sander for not extremely well, but I've played with him before, so it's kind of always easier to speak to somebody. Hey, listen, this, that, and the third. I do this, I do that. But it's hard too. Like guys are out there and they're trying to go after their careers too. So it's like you go into 100 different cities and 100 different opening DJs are trying to pass you their music.
Yeah.
I'm sure it can be tiring. So.
Well, it's got to feel good because I mean, there's millions and millions of tracks out there, and you have like these notable DJs playing your music. So
Yeah, it's definitely a,
you know,
a humbling feeling.
it's got to feel great because they're seeking your track out to play. So it's got to feel good.
It kind of pushes you more also.
Yeah, I mean, the music is art, and when I was younger, I was always, I don't want to play this record. I was like afraid of my own records, just because you put a lot of heart and soul into something, and then, if someone's reaction's not so pleasant, it's like kind of, defeating, but you have to work past that. And like you said, when these guys start playing your records, it's like, it's humbling because it revives you. It's like, okay, maybe my stuff is that good, like maybe I'm not crazy and like it really is that good.
Well, everybody's their own worst critic, right? So
Of
you're going to be
course.
super hard on yourself when
I'm the
when you
worst.
put stuff out, or even when you're playing a set, right? You probably, you always.
Yeah, everybody, somebody will come up to me and be like, yeah, you played a great set, and like, thank you, of course, but like in my mind, I'm like, man, I hope they didn't hear that like 2 minutes in when I like just missed that beat.
Yeah, but you're not. Everyone's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a curse and a gift. You know?
I mean, there's only like a select few, like most DJs will go off beat at some point or something will happen. Like,
I've heard the best DJs go off beat.
It happens. It
there's
happens.
only very few DJs who are like super tight, like you'll never hear them go off.
Yeah, there's definitely
know?
a few that I can say that I've like Roger Sanchez.
He's
one of the greatest of all times. He's just always on point. He's always doing some cool stuff. Like, he blows my mind. Quintino, even on the EDM side of things, I learned a lot just by watching. Like just seeing him do some cool tricks. It's like, oh wow.
So,
cool.
what DJ has been like the biggest inspiration for you?
The list could go on forever and ever and ever. A big influence of mine was Steve Angelo. I really loved a lot of his original stuff years back. Way before
it was EDM.
like real progressive.
Yes,
that good vibes. And then of course the Swedish House Mafia thing happened, and then when they split, it was interesting because I was like, all right, what's gonna happen now? Like what's gonna go down? And Axwell and Ingrosso did their thing like almost immediately, and Steve took his time, and then he put his album out, and like he does what he wants to do.
Does he still have that residency in Vegas? Because I know that he was holding down a residency in Vegas for a while.
I'm not really sure. I know. Yeah, I think
Excess,
it was
I think?
Yeah,
Something,
Excess or
yeah.
Omni or something.
He was out
I
there
don't
for
remember.
a while, yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely influenced. I used to watch YouTube videos years ago, just watching how that's how he did that. Oh, that's how he does that. It's just cool. It's a whole learning process. And Steve is definitely one of those. I just like his demeanor.
Yeah.
And your production. What's some new stuff that you have coming out?
Well, I just had a record come out 2 weeks ago. It's called Rumpelstiltskin.
We're gonna hear all this stuff in the set, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna
Okay.
play you a bunch of my stuff. I also have a remix that I just finished up that's gonna be coming out on Juicy Music. It's a Robbie Rivera's label, and just plugging away with everybody, just trying to make things happen. One of my biggest passions is like I see a lot of other DJs, Dutch DJs, and DJs from other countries, and they help each other, they stick together, they work together, they sign records together, and the greater New York City area, like I feel like struggles with that sometimes. And we're New Yorkers, or I'm from Jersey. Don't call me a New Yorker, but like we struggle with that sometimes because it's like we're friends, but I'm better than you on the back
Why
end.
is it you think it's like that here? And do you think it's really like that, like let's say in Europe or like the Dutch? Do you think do you really think that everyone is so friendly with putting music together?
I mean,
Or it just seems that way to us because nobody in New York is friendly.
No, I just think it's us as Americans. We're just super competitive, like not with everybody else, but just with ourselves in general. Like I'm, like you said, the worst critic. I compete every day. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's just as Americans we're always competing, and it's strength in numbers. Like when we work together, you don't have to be best friends with people. You don't have to
Just make music together.
Yeah, that's it. Like just make some fun stuff happen. That's when the best stuff comes out, is when everybody's just chilling and having a good time. And
Well, I think it also has to do with the fact that it's very competitive in the sense of getting gigs,
Mhm.
and actually there being enough places for people to actually play.
Right.
So, people are always, not everybody, but, like they don't want to miss out on an opportunity
Of course.
by, maybe collaborating with somebody else or their insecurities because they may think that somebody's better than them and they don't want to, run the risk of not being able to get that gig because of the whatever, right? So I think that that's a big factor too because it's just the market's super saturated today and it's, like how do you separate yourself from the next guy?
Yeah, I think like a lot of people, like you were saying, it might miss out on this gig, it might miss out on that gig, and to me, I think that's just people just thinking of the New York area. Like there's a world greater than that. If we make a great record, you're gonna get bookings. I'm gonna get bookings. It's not necessarily that I'm gonna fight you for, a spot to open up at Lavo or something like that. You know what I mean? Like if there is that goes on, and that's like the DJ hustle, and I know that's a totally different ballgame, as far as the DJs that are DJ producers that are trying to be artists and move forward in that direction. I think that's what needs to happen, like the camaraderie of it. If somebody in Brooklyn is playing my record, great, like that's great. I'll play their record, if it fits my category. Or fits my set, like 100%, like support, like the same way that a bigger DJ supports,
Yep.
Like it starts on the local level, 100%.
So you're actually going out to Miami tomorrow?
Man, don't even get me started, dude. They canceled my flight twice.
You're supposed to leave today?
I was supposed to leave tomorrow morning, but of course, Mother Nature has it
Yeah.
that we're gonna get slammed.
You're not missing any gigs because of the weather, are you?
No. I have a show actually on Thursday at the Epic Hotel, so it's a later set in the day, so hopefully they'll fly me in nice and early
Sunset
on Thursday.
set?
Yeah. It'll
That's
be
dope.
nice. It'll be nice. Definitely. Have you ever been to Epic Hotel?
No.
It's
Been to Miami 1,000 times though.
really nice hotel. It's on the Miami side. It's not on the South Beach side. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's on like the 20-something floor, 30-something floor, and you outlook the bay, and so yeah, it'll be really nice.
So you're not represented by anybody. How did you get booked for this gig?
Just through the channels. I still have my own connections and people I meet along the way, and you just talk to people here and there, and hey, listen, I'm gonna be in Miami. You got anything going on? Or yeah, let's put you on this show, and one thing leads to another. It's just
network.
yeah, of course. Your network is your net worth.
That's right.
100%.
So one thing I was curious about, Anthony was telling me about you. You've done some live sets in like public areas.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you talk to us about that?
Okay, so reason being, and I know we touched earlier about like clubs not being in Manhattan and like not being in abundance as they used to be for the house music scene. I just wanted to take it outside the box and go to iconic places or just go to places in nature that are untouched, and like just go there and be inspired by the environment I'm in and just play. And the live streams are actually silent, so if you see me in the middle of Times Square, perhaps you'll walk right past me, maybe. But the only way you hear it is through the Facebook Live. So.
Oh, okay. So you're set up, you're playing, but nobody
Or else
actually.
they would never allow it, right?
Yeah, they definitely. I would have to get a ton of permits, I'm sure. So I don't emit any sound. It's just into the internet.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen. There was a couple of times as a DJ set up in Grand Central, like inside the train station, playing actual music.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I didn't want to have any run-ins with the boys in blue and have any problems with that. So I just looked up the law and it said as long as you're not playing out any sound.
So did you start doing these streams on your own, and then they, like. So you said like live stream actually is sponsoring you?
Yeah, Mevo had sent me out a camera about a year ago. Well, let's backtrack. So we started doing the live streams, and then
On your own without anybody?
Yeah, just as a as from my brand, from Rabbitt, as a as something from me. It's just something I wanted to do instead of just your normal run of the mill. Hey, let's do a live stream and stream it. Like, all right, well, let's take it a step further. Let's go to Times Square. Let's go to Miami. Let's go to the bridge. Let's go here and there. And then Billboard.
That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was like a baby. It was like something we really wanted to do, but at the time, Facebook Live wasn't there yet. It didn't exist.
Yep.
And then like when it went to the verified pages, it was like, oh yes, like we got it. We could do it. Let's do it. So we went ahead and did it, and then Billboard caught wind of it. So they wanted to shoot one, which was really cool. So they sent somebody down from Billboard to shoot one of our live streams, and we did that one in Hoboken. And then yeah, it's just, you know, I try to keep up with it as much as possible. It is not the easiest task.
Yeah.
Like dragging gear through the city and like no parking, and we're getting tickets and all this stuff. And then on top of that, having to mix in my headphones the whole time. It's just, it is a little bit of a task. But in the long run, like, as crazy as it seems when we're doing it, like when I go back home and I play the video and like look it over,
looks great.
it's like, oh, this is awesome.
It's cool. I like that.
So do you like pre-configure the sets that you're gonna do like for these streams?
No, I mean, I have a whole bunch of stuff on my drive from sets I've played, and then the great thing with record boxes, it saves the histories, so I can go back and take like sections of sets that I like and put them into a crate, and I just, you know, I pick and choose as I go.
It's definitely something really creative that is a thing that you're doing that can set you apart from the next guy. So it's definitely a good thing you're doing there.
So did you prepare something for us here, or you just?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go off the fly. I have a bunch of my records that I put into a folder because I know I want to play those. But I never really come into the set like, this is what I'm gonna play. You know, like I have a crate of maybe 10 records that I'm like, these are the records I definitely want to play, and then I try to sway the crowd my direction, you know.
So, well, we appreciate you coming down.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna take a 2-minute break.
Yes.
Thanks,
and we're gonna
Gary.
get Rabbitt up on the
Thank you.
decks. Peace.